Everyone on YouTube shows Salem, Massachusetts as this magical Halloween town full of spooky charm, but no one talks about the other side. My partner Michael and I came for a week-long trip. By day 2, we were ready to go home. So here's the real experience, the parts that no one puts in their videos. Before I get into this isn't a hate video. If you love Salem, that's great. I'm not here to bash Salem. It is beautiful in some ways. I just think it's important for people to hear the full story, not just the influencer highlight reel. We came here expecting one thing based on the videos and got everything very different. We traveled a long way to get there. We spent a lot of money just on the trip itself, and we wanted to be honest about our experience so you can plan better than we did. We stayed at the Hawthorne Hotel, the famous one that shows up in tons of videos. But here's what none of those videos prepared us for. Those videos make it look like it's kind of all by itself. It's not. It's literally right on Essex and Washington, and the surrounding buildings are so close it feels like everything is touching the hotel. As far as the size, everything looked bigger online. In videos, the lobby, the hallways, the rooms, even the basement are much smaller than we thought it would be. I saw a YouTube video of a person taking their camera crew with them to do ghost hunting in the basement library in the Hawthorne, and that room looked huge. In real life, the ceiling is so low you can literally reach up and touch it. The hotel room itself is about the size of my bedroom at home. Not what I expected at all. Also has no microwave or fridge, just a bed, TV, dresser, desk, and chair. The lobby's desk is tucked in the corner of the lobby as you enter the front entrance. It's cramped and outdated. Yes, I understand that the hotel is now 100 years old. I just think they could renovate a little to keep up with the times, but also stick with the charm of the 100-year-old hotel. One more thing about the hotel I couldn't understand. I myself have worked in hotels from 2005 until 2016, and I have never heard of a hotel using bleach to clean all hotel rooms. I myself am highly, deathly allergic to bleach. The second day they cleaned our room and with the bleach. I didn't think to tell them about me being allergic just because I wouldn't have expected them needing to clean it with bleach. We came in November, so the tourists are basically gone. And honestly, without the crowds to distract you, you really see how dirty the streets are. Trash everywhere, things not being maintained. It was kind of disappointing. Other videos will never mention how many homeless people there are there. And because everything in Salem is walkable, you're constantly on foot. If you were in your car, you could drive off, but you can't there. They don't just ask for money, they hound you over and over. In the span of this week we were there, Michael and I were harassed 5 separate times from the same homeless individual. I honestly don't think he's even homeless. He was well dressed, no bags, no belongings of any kind, but he followed me more than once and I felt very unsafe. He refused to take no for an answer. I think what shocked me the most about Salem is that it is supposed to be known for being supportive and inclusive, but as a gay couple ourselves, and keep in mind, we don't hold hands, we don't show any kind of PDA. The locals looked at us like we didn't belong there. It was uncomfortable and honestly sad because we were actually expecting the opposite. Speaking of the LGBTQIA plus community, one evening while walking to get pizza for dinner, he and I both were catcalled by a group of gay men in an area trying to get us to come to their spot for sexual fun. It was honestly the worst feeling in the world. It was embarrassing to call ourselves one of the LGBTQI plus members. Who does that? Not only was it the LGBTQI plus, but it was also the locals themselves that seemed to be extremely rude and entitled. I am not talking about all of them, but a large majority of them were this way. Enough of them where it became the general vibe we picked up. Let's also not forget that marijuana is legal here, which is fine. You do you. However, nobody tells you that you're going to smell it everywhere. Walking down the street, near shops, in shops, even near the hotel. Thank goodness the hotel is smoke-free. It's not a huge issue, but it's something people should know about. This was November, like I said, and honestly, the lack of tourists should have made the whole trip feel calmer and more enjoyable. We didn't have super long lines, we weren't shoulder to shoulder with people, and we weren't fighting foot traffic like everyone says happens in October. Even without big crowds, everything still felt cramped. The streets are tiny, the sidewalks are narrow, most of the shops are squeezed together in little clusters. So even with fewer people, the whole town has this tight, closed-in feeling that isn't shown in videos. Influencers make it look like you'll be strolling through these wide open charming streets, but in reality, a lot of Salem feels visually crowded even when the people aren't. The shops, even with the off-season calm, the prices were absolutely wild. A simple hoodie with Salem printed across the front, $69. Crystals, trinkets, candles, keychains, all marked up like they're luxury items. You walk into one shop and see a $40 t-shirt, then go into the next shop and see the exact same t-shirt for the exact same inflated price. Tourist city or not, there's a difference between a little pricey and we know you traveled all this way here, so we're going to charge you like crazy. What's even more crazy is how repetitive everything felt. So many shops selling the same merch, same designs, the same candles, the same witchy decor. It starts to feel less like a unique historical town and more like a themed mall. Even though with the smaller crowds, the whole place still had this vibe like everything was geared towards squeezing as much money out of visitors as possible. I do want to give credit where credit is due. There is one place in Salem that actually gave us a break from all the chaos and confusion and disappointment. O'Neill's Irish Pub and Restaurant. Now, I'm not going to lie and pretend it was the best food I've ever had. It wasn't some life-changing, must-travel-for-it meal, but compared to everything else we'd experienced, O'Neill's honestly felt like stepping into a completely different world. The moment you walk in, it has that classic Irish pub warmth, dark wood, a comfortable layout, soft lighting, and that kind of cozy hum of conversation that actually feels welcoming instead of overwhelming. After dealing with rude locals, weird interactions, and being harassed multiple times outside, it was the first place in Salem where we felt like we could finally relax. The staff were normal, friendly, and not acting like they were doing us a favor by acknowledging us. The energy in there was laid back, not touristy, not chaotic, not judgmental, just comfortable. For the first time on this trip, that meant something. The food itself was good, not mind-blowing, but solid, comforting, and worth what we paid for it, which is more than I can say for a lot of places around Salem. The portions were fair, the prices weren't insane, and it tasted like actual care went into it, not like it was mass-produced for tourists. A lot of places you see in TikToks and YouTube videos are super polished, super curated, and honestly kind of misleading. Like the famous Bewitched statue. Every influencer shows it as this big moment. Oh my god, it's Samantha from Bewitched. So magical, so charming. But let's be real, it's literally in the middle of a traffic heavy intersection surrounded by shops, cars, noise, and people constantly lining up for photos. It's not bad, it's just not this whimsical thing that people make it out to be. It feels more like a photo op than history, and honestly, it represents the show, not the actual people who died here. Most of the main streets feel the same way. Very tourist centered, very merch heavy. There's nothing wrong with shops or fun spots, but when every corner turns into a place selling crystals, Hocus Pocus t-shirts, and witch everything, it takes away from what the town originally stood for. That's the thing about Salem though. It's a city of contrast. You have modern and commercialization right on top of real tragedy. But when you finally step away from the crowded streets, the overpriced shops, and the constant smell of marijuana, you start to find the places that actually feel meaningful. This is where the old Burying Point Cemetery comes in. This cemetery is one of the oldest in the United States, dating back to the 1600s. You can walk through and see the gravestones of real people from that time, including judges from the witch trials. The atmosphere is completely different from the rest of the city. It's quiet, it's historic. It feels like stepping into another time. Right beside it, in my opinion, is the most important part, the Salem Witch Trials Memorial. 20 stone benches, each with the name of a victim wrongfully executed in 1692. People leave flowers, coins, and notes. It's simple but incredibly powerful. No gimmicks, no merch, no neon signs, just a place of remembrance. Honestly, that's when I stopped feeling frustrated and felt the weight of what actually happened there. Another place that really stood out to me on this trip was Proctor's Ledge. Most people think that hanging happened on what they call Gallows Hill. That's actually wrong. It wasn't until 2016 that historians officially confirmed that the real execution site, and it's this small, quiet area behind a neighborhood and a Walgreens called Proctor's Ledge. 19 innocent people were hanged here in 1692, including John Proctor, whose name the site now carries. In 2017, a memorial was added, but it's still not commercialized or crowded. It's peaceful, reflective, and honestly one of the most respectful spots in Salem. Visiting Proctor's Ledge felt different from the rest of the town. It's a reminder that the witch trials weren't entertainment. Real people died here. And I think it's one of the most important places people should see. So yes, Salem does have good parts, but they're not the parts that influencers show, and they're not the parts plastered on postcards. They're the quiet historical places that remind you why this town matters at all. I've been wanting to come to Salem since I was 10 years old, literally 30 years of dreaming about that place. Long before the hype, long before the influencers, long before Hocus Pocus became the entire personality of the town every October. Back then, I wanted to see the real Salem, the history, the mystery, the place where the witch trials happened, the place that meant something. So for me, this wasn't just another weekend trip. This was a childhood dream, something I waited decades to finally experience. Walking around then, seeing how commercialized everything is, how Hocus Pocus is plastered on every corner, how the town leans harder into the movie than its own real history. It honestly broke my heart a little. Salem does have beautiful, meaningful spots. The old Burying Point Cemetery, the Witch Trials Museum, the quiet historical corners that aren't turned into Instagram posts. Those places remind me of why I wanted to come here in the first place. But if you're coming here expecting the magical, historic, mysterious Salem that's living in your imagination, you might walk away feeling the same way I did. At the end of the day, this was my experience. Not everyone's, but mine. Your trip might be different. Maybe you'll love the things I didn't, or maybe you'll run into the same issues I did. But what I wanted to give you was the version of Salem that isn't polished for social media, the version you actually walk through, the version with history and heartbreak, overpriced hoodies, cold weather, rude locals, good food, and one incredibly meaningful memorial. If you're planning a trip there, just be prepared for the real Salem, not the Salem influencers sale. And if this video helped you, or even just gave you a clearer picture of what to expect, then it did its job. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.